And welcome, everybody. It is another episode of Unleash the Cragle, and today we are going to have a chance to listen to the interview I did with CrossFit athlete, former college rower, and just all-around great person and writer, as you'll learn, Karisa Stapp. I don't want to delay this episode and want to get right into it. I actually made this two parts. So today is part one of the interview. I like to keep the episodes here about 30 minutes or maybe a little bit over, so it's easily managed. You can listen to it on your drive from work or so forth. Episode two, or part two of the interview, will be coming out a few days after this one. And so look for that also. You'll be sure to listen to both parts. Really had a pleasure sitting down. Chris is just a great person to chat with, very outgoing, very happy, a great athlete, and you'll learn hopefully quite a bit about her. Some of you might know some things, and maybe you'll learn a few new things about her today as you listen. I do want to say thank you to those who have followed, those who have subscribed. I will mention it at the end, but be sure, if you could, like this episode, share it with your friends, share the website with your friends. I have tried to put into place an efficient manner of making episodes go out. Had a little bit of a delay. Part of it was just setting up some new things that'll make this process more efficient. Missed a chance for an interview and just kind of lost track of the ability to get these out. We've been dealing with some smoke here in Western Washington to kind of mess my voice up a bit. No excuse. I'm committed to you, committed to this process, committed to this podcast. And so again, if you could like this episode, share it with your friends. We're on social media. You can follow us at Unleash the Cragle, Unleash the, and Cragle, all together. And that's on Instagram. We're also, you can email us at unleashthecragle@gmail.com. We're getting Twitter, Unleash the Cragle, and we'll be working on, of all things, a TikTok. I've kind of held off on it, but I'm going to at least be doing some shorts and so forth with that. We're also going to be doing YouTube. You can find us on Unleash the Cragle on YouTube. We'll be putting episodes up there. And eventually we're going to be doing some live interviews or interviews that were face-to-face or remote face-to-face at least, so you can actually see the interviewee, not so much the interviewer, which is me, but a chance to see the actual person we're talking with. So thank you again for following. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends and family. If you could share it on social media, we'll be having some clips of this interview out there for you to share, like, and so forth. Thank you again. What a pleasure. And without further ado, here's my interview with CrossFit athlete and all-around great person, Karisa Stapp. And welcome, everybody. I am Jonathan Cragle, your host of Unleash the Cragle podcast. And today we have a special guest. It's hard to get some guests on the podcast, but I gave her no choice, told her she was going to get interviewed today or at some point. So today we have Karisa Stapp, coach, CrossFit athlete, writer extraordinaire. And so thank you, Karisa, for being with us.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited.
One of the stressful things that always happens with interviews, and I'd just be upfront, is how they go. Well, our goal here is to give you great information about Karisa, about what's going on, but certainly my own podcasting, I do a lot of recording and cut a lot of parts out. So you're not going to get any coughs or any mistakes because this is going to be perfect, just like CrossFit is for Karisa. So let's talk a little bit. You are how old?
I am 26.
26.
27 in a few days. But yes.
Happy birthday. So happy birthday to you. That's all you're going to get for a happy birthday. All right. Once you get on the social media for her, be sure to wish her a happy birthday after you followed. You are originally from?
Well, I was born in Colorado.
Okay.
And then kind of moved around between Colorado, Wyoming a little bit, then moved here to Washington State when I was in 6th grade. And then, lived here the biggest chunk of my life,
Okay.
I'd say. Then yeah.
So you consider yourself a child of the West, but home is here during summer. What?
Yeah. Well, my family moved out to Montana like 5 years ago, and last year I moved back out there to be just closer to them. So I'd say that now my home is Montana, but I'm back out here for the summer just because I like it out here and
And,
like
and
yeah,
it's a great
definitely.
chance to train. We'll talk a little
Yeah.
bit about that piece of it too. You are a CrossFit athlete, but that's not where, your athletic prowess wasn't CrossFit. You found that. But when you were growing up, what kind of sports did you do? What did you do for activity?
I did a bunch of different things growing up. When I was in high school, I did cross country, I did track, I wrestled for a season. I just kind of did random things here and there. When I was in elementary school, I did competitive clogging for a while.
Okay, we got to talk about that, but keep going. We're coming back to clogging.
All right, yeah. Clogging was actually my first like competitive
Okay.
experience there, but yeah, did a lot of that, and then yeah, pretty much just through high school, I ran, did the wrestling. Didn't really do a lot of ball sports. I tried soccer for a little bit and it's okay, but not the best at actually handling the ball. It's good at
Which
running around and like taking it from people, but then when I got it, I didn't really know what to
know
do.
what to do with it. That's funny. So you found your way with anything that wasn't ball sports. Then when you left high school, you found another sport that you did competitively, which was what?
That was rowing. So yeah, when I got into college, I tried out for the women's rowing team at Western Washington University, and then a good thing about rowing is that they'll accept a lot of people that haven't rowed before, a lot of walk-ons, as long as you can show that you're kind of willing to work for it and then willing to kind of put in the effort, then you can earn a spot on the team. So that's what I did throughout college. I tried out for the team. I actually broke the tryouts record because it was some running and lunging, kind of like a CrossFit style type of workout. But just before I did CrossFit, I just kind of ran and did stuff for fun. But yeah,
Yeah.
then I got into rowing, rowed for 4 years.
So you walked on, and then that right after you walked on, was it that same year you got picked up
Yeah, so like
with the trial?
I think it was my last quarter. I got like scholarship for the last quarter of my freshman year, and then I
Okay.
was on scholarship
The,
for the rest. Yeah,
okay. And
rest of
Western
the time.
has actually, a very high level top
Rowing
rowing
team.
team.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Of course, Washington and so forth. But Western, did you go to nationals? You went to nationals
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so forth. Did you guys win
We won
nationals?
nationals in 2017. Yeah, we're Division two school, and but we have definitely one of the top rowing programs in that division.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, and so for those that are out there, it's one of those sports too. A really good friend of mine rode for Washington. His daughter rode for Williams College, won some national titles that way, and so forth. It's one of those sports that you don't think about, but you can still, walk on, do well if you're willing to
Mhm.
work and grind.
Oh yeah,
It's one
yeah.
of those sports that it probably takes more a grinder, pain cave mentality we talk about in CrossFit than it does athletic prowess. You can work towards being a better and better rower.
Oh yeah.
And so forth. So, and then after you got done rowing, your career's over. You cashed in that. What next? What happened next?
Um, yeah, then, well, eventually I found CrossFit. It was kind of like a little bit of going back and forth between stuff because I majored in accounting in college. So I started working at a tax firm like right out of college and did a bodybuilding show
Oh,
during that time. And kind of just did my own thing, working out, and then decided I wanted to kind of go back to school to get a few more classes to maybe get my CPA, certified public accountant. But then I decided against that,
mm,
started getting into CrossFit, finding that, and decided I want to go the fitness career
fitness
instead.
career. So you didn't like cutting weight for bodybuilding, right?
It was, yeah, that was, I mean, it's definitely, I think it's a different kind of mental challenge. And I think later, maybe later down the road, I would do a bodybuilding show again just because I did like that challenge. But
Mm,
overall, I like the performance based
mm,
sports a little bit better.
sure.
And I think that, yeah, just for me, kind of where I was in my life, that wasn't the
Yeah.
best choice. And then finding CrossFit, I was like, oh, this is more of like rowing, the things I've been doing, where it's just like, get in there, you work hard, you can see improvements, and it's not like the bodybuilding where it's a little more subjective. It's like you
Right.
either win or you're not winning.
Right. You have to pay off the judges versus having an actual clock or so forth. So that's awesome. So you found CrossFit the very first. Do you remember the very first gym you walked into that you did
Uh-huh.
CrossFit?
Well, it was actually CrossFit I Love It, and this
Mm,
was when I was in college.
okay.
I guess in college I also did some just did a little bit of like MMA stuff too in college, and I found that I was friends with a girl there that came to the CrossFit gym, and during our winter break from college, we had a couple weeks where I was like, oh, I need to just have something to do for a couple weeks, and I just dropped in to CrossFit I Love It, not really knowing. I knew like about CrossFit just because I had some teammates on the rowing team that had done CrossFit, and I heard about it a lot from them, but kind of just dropped in just to kind of stay fit, didn't really know exactly what was going on, and then kind of just came back out, didn't really think a lot about it until later on when I really decided,
Hmm.
like, let's give it another try. And I dropped into another gym when I was, because when I was working in the accounting, I was living in Wyoming at that time. I dropped into a gym there for a little bit. Then when I moved back to Washington, I went to a gym in Bellingham for a couple months before coming back to I Love It. So,
Hmm, hmm.
yeah.
And we should make mention, and we just kind of throw out I Love It
Mhm.
around. So it's CrossFit I Love It in a little town, and I say little relative to Seattle, to Spokane, to Dallas, to Houston. Linden's a small, maybe 26,000 people. And the gym, CrossFit I Love It, owned by Matt and Kaylee Lovelady, was started in 2013, literally in the middle of a county, the middle of farmland, if you will, in between kind of Linden and Bellingham, another bigger town. And for relative purposes, I Love It's probably 15 minutes from the Canadian border, 20 minutes from the water to the west. So it's far northwest. And so for those who find it, but it's not like a gym that people would flock to, like a CrossFit Mayhem in Nashville or so forth. Yet we actually have amazing athletes, which we will talk about. You found I Love It, but you didn't really look at the competitive side. It was just something to be able to move and so
Oh,
forth
yeah.
initially, right?
Yeah, well, because when I dropped in that first couple weeks, yeah, I didn't really know a lot about CrossFit, or I was just kind of in there just to get ready for the next rowing bit, so just in there to move. And then when I was doing the bodybuilding and stuff like that, I was kind of looking more at videos of CrossFit and being like, well, maybe this is something I want to do.
Mm,
And I had remembered when I ended up moving back and kind of getting to a gym in Bellingham, I remembered when I was at I Love It that there was some. Like
yeah,
I saw like Mitch that I was like, oh, there's some
yeah.
really good competitors. Like Kaylee had been to regionals, and then Mitch was like a games athlete. I'm like, all right, well, if I actually want to be competitive with it, I'm like, maybe you should go back there.
Yeah, and I think again, I think for those who are listening, she mentions Mitch Stevenson, who I won't go into. We're going to get Mitch on the podcast and Carrie, his wife. We'll talk a little bit about him, but Mitch Stevenson, games athlete, has been on the games demo team the last 2 years. Has had some just close misses making the games again this year, but unbelievable CrossFitter, but also an unbelievable person. And then also you had Kaylee Lovelady, who we talked about, who went to regionals back 2014, I think it was. It was her first one, and then she went back again as an individual to regionals. So there's experience as far as games, but also just athletics. I mean, Matt was a pitcher for Oklahoma. Kaylee was a triple jumper for Washington State. We're actually sitting upstairs in the recovery kind of room where their jerseys are at, and there's pictures of them and so forth. So it's a very athletic gym, and so you picked a great little gym to be at,
Oh yeah.
the little gym that can, if you will. That kind of then goes to, once you've gone down this path, then your first experience with the Open, for example. Do you remember the first year you did the CrossFit Open?
Yes, 2019 was my first Open. I remember it because I was like, I think still rowing a little bit at the time, and I
Okay.
remember it was rowing and wall balls, and I was like, oh, I can do this. This is no problem.
Your gig. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so
One
that was
workout
that was great.
until you found out the other 4 or 5
Yeah.
workouts, right?
Then when I found
Yeah.
out there was some chest to bar the next workout, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
actually, I'm really bad.
You get, as athletes, I think that's what's so funny is, you do have to be good at a lot of skills that are skills that you don't necessarily use. Pull-ups, but you have to do pull-ups fast, and you have to do a lot of them because it's maybe 12, 20, 19 minutes worth. And then the death nail of burpees.
Oh
Burpees with
yeah.
anything is like, nobody purposely does burpees, do they? That's what I thought when I did so my first open was 2013, just not even close to athletic prowess of you, but I still have a picture of myself hanging up on a wall trying to get my first chest to bar. And so the opening was overhead squats at 95 pounds, like 15. And I did those in a couple minutes. And then I spent the next 19 minutes of a 21-minute a workout trying to get one chest to bar. So I get it totally.
Oh
So
yeah.
you then did 2019, but then let's fast forward a little bit. The athletic came out because you go to 2021 and you had a very good year, just
Yeah.
2 years of improvement, 2 years of learning skills, 2 years of just learning to move the CrossFit way, if
Oh
you will,
yeah.
with the
Yeah.
various movements. So 2021, you qualify for, you do well in the open. You
hmm
qualify for quarterfinals,
Um. Yeah. In 2021, qualified for quarterfinals,
like
and then
individual quarterfinals, right?
yeah, yeah.
But also then you also had the chance. This is where we kind of come up to the team part because you had Mitch Stevenson, he had his wife Carrie, who had been a regional athlete, numerous regional athlete. You had Justin Thompson, who originally I don't know that he was supposed to be on the team originally, I think, but there was some things that occurred, and so Justin Thompson, who's a coach here at CrossFit, I love it. You guys all qualified, if I remember right, all qualified for individual quarterfinals.
hmm And then
All did you all qualify for semis?
um, Mitch, I think that I know
I
that
don't
I did,
I don't
and Mitch
remember.
did, but
I think
yeah,
you and Mitch did. I
and
don't
Carrie might
remember
have.
if JT did, and
I think
Carrie. I'm not.
Carrie actually did
I
too.
think Carrie did
Yeah,
too. So three of the four of you, and at that time you could do individual quarterfinals,
and
team
team quarterfinals.
quarterfinals, but
Yeah.
then you had to choose at that point which we were going to go. And so really, you guys, you and Mitch and Carrie, I believe, all had to make the choice: do you go
hmm
individual semis? And you were all individual athletes, especially Mitch and Carrie.
Oh yeah.
Um, and Mitch had gone to the games in 2017, and then a few misses, and
Yeah.
then
And Carrie went to games.
yeah, and then you had COVID happen. So 2021 was really your chance post COVID to do
hmm
something,
Yeah.
and yet you guys chose to come together as a team. Now you'd never competed as a team. You'd never worked out in a team environment together,
Yeah.
right? So the decision to do that, you had to cobble together very quickly,
Oh
doing
yeah.
things like the worm.
Yeah, the worm. We had to learn worm. Good thing is for like the team quarterfinals. I don't remember what those workouts were, but it was like
Yeah,
stuff we always like we worked out together,
yeah.
not in like a team way, but we're always taking classes together and training in the gym together. So I feel like that the quarterfinals went pretty well because we all kind of knew each other as athletes and knew kind of the pacing and the way we moved. So that went really well. But then after that, yeah, we had to start doing synchro reps and then
Yeah.
learning the worm, all
And that
sorts
was
of things.
interesting. I'm cutting you off, and I apologize. I
Oh no,
committed
no.
at the beginning I wouldn't cut you off, but it strikes me. So you guys, you knew you had to get a worm, and it was kind of like a cobble together quick, find a worm and buy a worm.
Yeah, we
And
got it from somewhere. I think a gym down in Seattle,
okay,
and it was it's definitely a little bit of like a little floppy of a worm.
yeah, yeah, but you were at least able to get something that was an implement you could actually simulate. Because I
Yeah.
think what we see is actually watching the games right now. So the CrossFit Games is going on right now, and you can watch and you can tell new teams struggle with the worm. It's the one
hmm
implement. The other thing you see is synchroed, like ring muscle ups. You'll see
Yeah.
a lot of struggle with keeping, because you have your own clock when you're an individual, your own flow, your own pace. to do that with everybody else means you have to really truly be in tune
Yeah.
with each other. But the worm, so it was kind of funny to watch that. I recall watching you get the worm, and the first few times you guys did it, it was actually great Instagram videos because they were so funny.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
but obviously things came together because when you went to semis, semis were where?
Oh, the Granite Games.
Okay,
So
at
in
that time,
Minnesota.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. They were unlike now. Things have changed. It seems like one thing with CrossFit, um, nothing stays the same. I mean, the word, Helen is Helen, but everything else has been kind of crazy, right? I mean, I'm just gonna, it's unleash the Cragle. I'm not holding back. It's been crazy, but the one thing that's been consistent has been that you're going to go to some place to work out. But at that time, it was Granite Games was a qualifier. There was the West Coast Classic.
I think it was the
Is
Mid
that right?
Atlantic.
Mid
The
Atlantic.
Mid Atlantic.
Yeah,
And
if you go
then
back, so I'm not going to bother posting all of it. Just go back and look at, you can go to Games CrossFit and look at 2021 and see what the various regions and so forth. So you guys went to Granite Games. Do you remember
we finished third at
finished
Granite
third,
Games.
and I think what top
Top five,
five
right?
five teams,
Yeah, yeah,
and that involved the worm and involved the chance to really be under some duress with some great teams that have been
yeah.
together.
Oh
Do you
yeah.
remember who was it? Was that one that Invictus would have been somewhere on the West Coast, I think.
Yeah. I
I
think it
don't
was
remember who won.
on the other it might have been
Yeah, I don't remember. Go back if you're listening. Go back and figure out who won the Granite Games in 2021. But to have a team that's cobbled together quickly when everybody's thinking of going individual semis, and imagine throwing together a team and doing really well against top level CrossFitters. So you go off to the games. Fantastic. You're going to have a chance to be a games competitor and have all the experience of that. So you go to the games. What's the first thing? Do you recall the first thing when you got there? What
yeah.
any remembrances of what you thought at the beginning?
Oh, I just thought it was really cool because it's just getting into CrossFit and not having that experience before, just like seeing all the people that you watch so much like in person, be like, oh, we're actually kind of a part of this now. It's a really cool experience. So
Yeah.
yeah, and going through all the check-in and getting the cool stuff, I was like, oh, all right. It's just kind of something that you're like, all right, I'm actually part of this thing. It's
So you got your super
happening,
grab
and
bag. Do you still have do you have any of your gear from?
yeah, I still have lots of it. I keep telling myself that I have to go to the games again if I want new lifting shoes. So
Absolutely. You see all the videos of the people posting on their hotel bedroom, on their hotel bed of all the gear. It is funny. So you got the team pictures, and I think in the notes I'll put a link to. You can see some of the Instagram pictures and so forth. I think what was interesting about it that strikes me, you guys went with no expectations, really. I mean, you wanted to do well. I mean,
yeah,
Mitch,
but
Mitch being a games athlete, Mitch is Mitch, one of the nicest young men you'll ever meet, but he's a competitor.
oh yeah,
And I
yeah,
think when you guys get there, you're in the midst of the Rich Froning, right? Froning, Mayhem was still together at that point,
yeah, yeah,
right? So you had the heavy hitters of Mayhem, you had Invictus, you had Omni, you had Oslo Blue, you had all these teams that are I'm trying to think of who else off the top of my head. You had all these teams that were just well known,
hmm
and then you got this little gym from Linden, Washington that frankly the announcers unless I prepped them, and I know some of the CrossFit guys, announcers, and that I kept saying it's I love it, not I won UVIT
yeah,
or
yes, yeah,
I won VIT or whatever. It's I love it, and you know I'm not going to tell you why the one is an L. If you can, let us know later. But it was funny to watch people struggle how to say, the name of the little gym from Linden. So you guys got there. You started out the first day. Now there weren't cuts, were there at the games at that point? I don't think they
no,
cut.
not that
Right,
year, no,
right.
no,
But you got to do well. You guys got to the games and you open up, and I had to take a moment here to look. So you opened up with a swim in 2021. It was the female pair, 500-meter swim, 1,000-meter kayak, and then after that you tagged off to Mitch and JT, and they did the same. Time cap 90 minutes. So up to that point, how were you guys as far as swimming?
well, JT did really well because he had to kind of learn how to swim for the games.
Sorry,
So
JT, but you'll be
oh
on the
yeah.
podcast to defend yourself. So he had not really swum very much.
No, and I feel like that's why it was, he did really well for having, I think he only did like one or two open water swims before games. And
Okay,
so we had to like, we worked at the pool. He kept working on it too. And he really improved a lot, just like, the short time he had, to prepare for the game. So I think that was really good. And, uh, me, Mitch and Carrie, we've all done a lot of like swimming stuff before. So we felt pretty okay with it. But,
okay. But and
yeah,
you were in pairs, so that's the really interesting part. And I'm actually, as we're talking, I just want to kind of look and see where y'all finished on that particular workout
oh yeah.
because so actually it turns out you guys finished 13th with a person who didn't really know how
Yeah.
to swim.
Well, yeah, that's right. Because me
I
and
mean,
Carrie started off that, and we were actually done first, out of the water, out of the kayaks first,
okay,
and we passed. So we knew we had to just get some time for JT, just because, like I said, like he had been doing so well learning for it, but we knew we just had
sure,
to get that little jump. So I
sure.
feel like it was a good
So,
finish
and I think
overall.
that's the key too is knowing the strengths and knowing who has to do what to offset. And you see that with teams where you got to kind of send it. So the fact that you again opening event, never done games together,
Oh yeah,
open swim, 500 meter swim and kayaking, and you guys do paddle boarding on Lake Washington or Lake Whatcom and so
yeah.
forth, but not like
That
a
was
lot.
yeah. I mean, I know that. I I know that's like I think Carrie's done a lot more kayaking than I had, but I had done like the paddle boarding and stuff. So I was
Yeah,
like, oh, I can hopefully figure it out. But
yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, that was definitely something
Yeah.
that I just kind of had to figure out
That's
a little.
awesome. So you open with the 13th, and then event two you go to, and I just briefly want to talk about these because it's interesting. Then you go to event 2, 3, and it's the 100-foot bob push, which CrossFit I Love It does not have a bob.
Oh
You
yeah,
try to simulate as best you can what you can, but
yeah.
it probably wasn't the same.
No, we definitely had our coach because Kaylee Lovelady, she was and Kaylee and Matt, they both helped a lot. But Kaylee wrote like so much of like practice workouts for us to do, like really put some good time in there. And so she got us a little. We set up a little contraption with the yoke and a sled tied to it that like simulated it as well as it could. But yeah, still definitely different
Different
than being out
experience. So
there.
that
Yeah.
was the bob push, synchro bar muscle ups, another bob push, synchro bar muscle ups. And in the bar muscle ups, you also have two partners holding cheese curds, which were basically sandbags.
Yeah,
And
that was
so, and then you have a 12-minute time cap. And that 12-minute, you did 4 rounds of synchro toes to bars and another bob drag. So that particular one, you guys had a little bit of a struggle, finished
yeah.
30th on that one.
And that's definitely probably my fault on that. Like we all had. That's the thing. It's like we all had. Well, besides Mitch, Mitch is probably like pretty well the most well-rounded of us, I'd say. But I feel like I still struggled. I mean, still to this day, like gymnastics is something that's I need to work on,
Mm,
and
mm,
especially on that workout, the bar muscle ups. I pretty much had like one good rep each set, and then like no reps for my feet coming too high.
uh-huh.
Um, and was just super frustrated. So the guys had pretty much had to do all the bar muscle ups in that workout and then, yeah, very bad workout for me. But that day one, we all kind of had our struggle workouts, I guess. And that
Yeah,
was definitely
yeah.
mine with
And
that.
we could go, I mean, I don't want to spend the rest of the podcast talking about it. It's interesting because you guys, here you are, first team together, 13th and 30th, the first two workouts. Yet a lot of teams would look at that and if you had expectations would be really frustrated. And yet you go on with a sixth, then a 37th, but then you go 11th, 18th, 7th, 7th, 12th, 10th, 5th, 8th, and 8th. So while other teams were struggling as the time went on, whether it was recovery or whatever, it's almost like you guys came into your own as far as a team,
Yeah,
and you ended up actually finishing 10th in the world ahead of a lot of great CrossFit, Eighth Day CrossFit, Lone Star CrossFit, Omnia, so on, West Chase, and you had certainly teams that had been together and such, but to put together a team, just throw it together with people who are going to go semis as individuals and make the choice to go team is really impressive, really, really impressive. And so, especially 2 years into CrossFit
Oh yeah.
for
Well,
you, right?
yeah, I started like
And
October 2018, I'd say
okay,
maybe,
okay.
yeah, maybe a little earlier than that. So yeah,
I
just,
mean, oh, 2.5, 3 years, let's just say,
oh yeah.
to go team, and again to go team with people who you didn't have great gymnastics. You admitted
Oh yeah.
JT hadn't really swum,
Yeah.
and yet to be able to find a way to piece it together,
Oh
and I
yeah.
think that's the thing too. I mean, I've been a member at CrossFit. I love it since it opened in 2013, and watching you all work together, it's like instead of getting frustrated, you just figure out how to adapt, how to
Hmm.
adjust, how to build off each other's strengths. So you had a great experience with that. Then we go 2022, 2023, you actually went back individual. Everybody kind of went
Hmm.
back, made the choice to not go team, which would
Yeah.
have been tempting, I'm sure. But for whatever reason, you decided to make the shift back to individual, all of you. And you had a good year in 2022,
Yeah.
made quarterfinals again,
Yeah.
semifinals,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you competed where?
I was at Granite Games again in 2022.
Okay.
So yeah.
You were granted, and I think didn't was it Mitch, Carrie, and Gabby?
Yeah. Well, Mitch and Gabby,
Oh, that's
they
right.
were both at the MAC, but then they had another, then we had a team with, again in
Oh, right,
2022.
right. So you
Yeah.
actually had you were at Granite, Mitch and Gabby went to
Mid
Mid
Atlantic. Yes, they
Atlantic,
went to the MAC.
and then because they did so well, Kaylee, right? It was a
Yeah.
Kaylee, Pat Midgley,
Carrie and
Carrie,
JT.
and JT all just
They were with
decided,
us.
hey, let's go team.
Oh
So
yeah.
they went to team and competed as team and did really well. Again, not having put together a team, but just sort of making a call of, hey, let's do team. And so then that was a case where it was a good experience for you as an individual,
Hmm.
again,
Oh yeah.
learning experience.
Yes.
And so then 2023, this year, again, qualified for quarterfinals, qualified for semis. This time, semis were where?
They were Pasadena.
Yeah,
Yeah,
had
yeah.
to rethink. See, it's changed so much where you go and whatever. So Pasadena, and you opened up with the it was the
Oh yeah,
sled drag and
the nice
the
long one with
machine,
some
the
running.
grinder. Yeah, and so overall, I mean, rather than going blow by blow through it, what was the best part of that experience as a
Yeah.
semi?
Well, if I say like the best event, it was, the first one with the running, but I
Right.
think like overall this was just it was a good year for me just because I had like some injuries the beginning of the year going into it,
Mm.
and injuries where I was like I might not be able to do
Uh,
semifinals, things like that. And by the time it rolled around, it was like, okay, I'm good enough to compete, but I hadn't like heavy snatched for a while. I
mm,
just hadn't been doing a lot of things I normally would have. And so I kind of went into semifinals with just like a different mindset of being like, let's just enjoy
mm,
competing. Let's just enjoy being here.
mm,
And, um, and I think having that mindset kind of, I think it was a more enjoyable year for me
mm,
at semifinals than like 2022, where it was just like, I just really enjoyed every part of it. And there was an event that I got a 0 on, the weight vest ring muscle ups, which was annoying because that full year I've been working so much on ring muscle ups. They are such a big weakness. And I'm like, this year, ring muscle ups show up. I've got it.
mm,
But then they throw the ruck in there, and I kind of had to just relearn my ring muscle up technique, and then still couldn't get them
mm,
in the workout. But like I kind of knew that going in. Like when I saw that workout, I'm like, if I get a 0, I get a 0, and then just move on. So I definitely had a little bit of sadness right after it. I'm like,
sure,
fine, let's just
sure.
move on from this. Like as long as no one talks to me about too much, I'll be okay.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
then I think like overall, like then just going to each event and being with all the girls competing, because there's just so many like really awesome people that you
mm,
get to know.
mm-hmm,
And then just like I think just having that mindset where I took like a mental step back and like let's just enjoy this
yeah,
because this is something that is a cool thing to do.
yeah,
And I think that I just really enjoyed the whole thing a lot more, even though I mean, eventually I would love to make it individual to games, and that's
yeah,
my ultimate goal with it. But it was also just like, it was just fun to be there.
yeah.
And like, you know what? It's great competing, and I want to keep
Sometimes
working.
it feels like it's a dice throw for the unknown and unknowable, and you
Hmm.
happen to get an event. And a lot of people, struggle with events,
Yeah.
and not without injuries and so forth. I think that the thing that strikes me too, having been around you guys, the thing that strikes me with 2023 is the mental change
Mm-hmm.
for all of you. Certainly Mitch and I have chatted
Okay.
somewhat with you, somewhat with
Yeah.
Gabby, that the mental switch of it would destroy you maybe previously. You'd be so down in the dumps about a placement
Yeah.
versus just cut it off, be
Yeah.
sad, move on.
Oh yeah.
And yet, not just the enjoyable part, but you had some good events after that followed,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and you didn't just check out, but you continued. So do you remember what? I mean, you ended up in what place? You remember?
I was 19th place.
19th.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, having gone, started in 2018, 2019, games experience 2021, go right to individual, which is a different rhythm, a different
Yeah.
game, um, and then to finish 19th out of a really fit
Yeah.
regional or
Oh yeah.
semifinal, if you will. And so, the sky's the limit,
Yeah.
and you're young. You're so young when it comes to CrossFit and just in general that it's another chance to keep working
Oh
and
yeah.
keep going with it. So and that's the journey part of this, I think, too. Of course, being an older athlete, I'm more looking at longevity for running around with grandkids, not competing at a competitive level, but to be inspired by all age groups, but to watch you guys work hard for something. I guess the question would be, you are disappointed when you don't get to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's just happy go lucky. You have to have
No.
that period of kind of grief of, or grieving over not being able to move forward.
Yeah. I think that's like, yeah, I think there's always going to be like a disappointment when you don't place as well. I think that for me it was just a little less just because I like went in being like this might not be the time, and if it's not, it's not. So I think that was okay, and I was able to move on from it. But then I think that also just kind of showed me that I also just really enjoy the process of training and like
Hmm.
working hard to get there. And I also know that I want CrossFit for me, and not just like CrossFit, but any sort of competing, because I mean I want to just keep on doing stuff,
Yeah,
just
sure,
keep competing, and then
sure.
but and just that that working hard for something I think is the cool part of
Yeah.
anything. So
And if I remember
yeah,
correctly, though, you and Gabby didn't like when you weren't down in the dumps stuck in the hotel. You went somewhere right after.
yeah,
Where you guys visited?
we went to Disneyland for a bit, like
Sure
right
you did.
after. So yeah, we were right
How can you
next to it,
how
and
can you be unhappy when you're riding on It's a Small World After All,
oh
right?
yeah, yes.
Yeah.
No,
So
it was a
yeah,
really good experience
yeah.
overall, and yeah,
And I
yeah.
mean, I think that's the other part is you have, Gabby, of course, is now it seems like she's alternating. So you come here for summers. She comes here for
Oh,
winter and leading
I
up to
know. I feel like
games
we just keep
qualifying.
on missing each other.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean that kind of even longer distance relationship of CrossFit fitness and so forth is
Yeah,
it's like meeting an old friend again. You
yeah,
you
yes.
see each other and it's
We'll
like
always be
nothing's
friends.
changed.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's very cool. And there you have it, the part one of my interview with Karisa. You're going to want to be sure to come back for part two, where we get into another part of her life besides CrossFit and working out and kind of background on growing up. And that's her writing career. And you'll want to be sure to follow not just Karisa on her Instagram and so forth, her personal page, but also her writing page. And so we'll be putting that in the show notes also. Be sure to check out the show notes. We list Karisa's Instagram, where you can follow her and give her a like. There's also a link to our Instagram at Unleash the Cragle. Also, unleashthecragle@gmail.com. Also, Twitter, and so forth. We'll also put some show notes about some of the things we've talked about. Western Washington women's rowing team, CrossFit I Love It, CrossFit Bozeman, where she works out, and maybe some links to her CrossFit kind of articles that have been written about her and so forth. So again, you'll want to come back for part two of the interview. Again, we try to keep these to about 35 minutes or so episodes, easily managed for you. So look forward to sharing that with you also. Again, get back on track with doing episodes. We'll be doing episodes probably 3 times a week. Again, 30 to 35 minutes per. I have a couple coming up on mental training, mental toughness. Also, just a recap of kind of masters and age group qualifiers, a discussion about ideas for that, and just thoughts about how you can use your fitness in your everyday life, but also in planning for your future. So look forward to those topics also. Again, give us a like, subscribe, share this with your friends and family. Let us know how we can do better. Let us know what things you'd like us to cover. Again, we're here for you. We're here to cover topics that we think would be meaningful for you and others. Again, thank you so much for following us, and be sure to look for part 2 of the interview with Karisa Stapp coming up very soon. Take care all. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your week. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your family and those that you care for. And when at all possible, be kind. Thank you again, and we'll talk to you soon.